Welcome to the Lead Every Day show. Our mission is to see a world well led. And our strategy to get there? To empower leaders like you to lead every day. So let's get to work.
If you've been with us these last few weeks, our team journey is coming to an end, or should I say it's just beginning, actually. It never ends, this idea of building a high-performance team. Welcome to the Lead Every Day show. I'm Randy Gravitt.
And I'm Mark Miller.
And Mark, it's been a lot of fun to talk about teams these last few weeks. We've got one more question here to land the series. I think it's a great place. We had a question: how do you systematically build a high-performance team? I love that question because this is not a flash in the pan. You don't just fix your team and it's good and we're good. I mean, this is something that has to be worked on for forever.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, it's about continuous improvement.
It really is. And so let's talk about it a little bit. And I want to make sure we've been trying to give you, those who are listening, we've been trying to give you some tactical things. I think today let's try to give them one more tactic. One of the things they can do, and I know you've talked about before the importance of establishing team norms. Let's start there. Can you give a little bit of insight there?
If you want to systematically improve your team, I would say you should ask the question, what are 3 to 5 behaviors that if we embrace them fully, we could improve our performance as a team? And I always like to do this early, maybe in a first or second meeting. Mm-hmm. And in those early meetings, you're going to hear things like, well, we could start on time and we could end on time. It's like, don't dismiss those, because that'd be good, particularly if it's not part of your culture. It's okay, one of our norms is start on time. One of our norms is end on time. Another norm might be confidentiality of what stays here or said here stays here. Great. So pick a few of those and number them, 1, 2, 3. I like to put them on a flip chart.
Yep.
I like to hang it up so people can see it. And if somebody comes in late, you say, hey, remember, we've all agreed one of our norms is need to be on time. Appreciate you helping us do that in the future. Or as you get near the end of the meeting, so you reference them. Mm-hmm. And here's what's going to happen. Over a period of months, and it may not take long, but over a few months, those things are going to become the norm.
They become like the DNA of your team.
The boundaries, the guardrails. It's what the team does. And so you then repeat the exercise. You go, great, those are now part of our norms. It's a psychological concept, the norms of behavior. This is what we do regularly and consistently. You ask the question again. And you may say, it would be helpful if we sent all materials out 24 hours in advance. Great, that people have to be prepared, or 48, or whatever you decide. Another norm might be that we're going to commit to review action items.
I was going to say be
meeting,
accountable to action items.
or whatever. I mean, you just start naming. You can brainstorm a long list, and some team is ultimately going to say food at every meeting. Write it down. Again, and if you get a long list, you just pick the top 3 or 4 and say, these are the norms that we're going to pursue until we get there. And then you repeat the exercise or go back to the list. And what happens is you will systematically improve your team, because you will be identifying and solving for the impediments and the barriers, and you'll be removing them. And so I think healthy teams are always establishing and pursuing new norms.
Yeah.
Establish and pursue, and you'll get better and better and better as a team.
I've used the language before that I think teams are seasonal. I think there's the reality that you're going to work with people potentially for years. And I don't know that it's a great parallel between a sports team that has a season and then off season and back on it. There's never really an off season. I know we've talked about that a little bit. But I do think there's this seasonal approach to what you're talking about with these team norms. What we need to establish as norms with a brand new team will be great. Once we get it built into the DNA, 4 months later or 6 months later, we may need to have a check-in and go, what are the new norms that we need to have going into this thing? We're not going to let go of what we just embraced.
That's right. Keep them.
They're like building blocks.
You're building, yeah.
Exactly. But I know you, and I heard you years ago talk about this. You had a team that was struggling to have, I think the way you talked about it, or the way y'all discussed it, was the idea of radical curiosity you put into your meetings because you're having a hard time coming up with good ideas to innovate and to be fresh. That would be an example that you could pull back in and say, okay, we want to be more curious.
Well, but you need to state that in a declarative,
Right. I mean, this is a gap.
You got to put a verb in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you got to put a verb in there.
Yeah.
Because these are behaviors you're trying to inculcate
Right.
over time. And
so we're committed to bringing better ideas to our meetings, and that would be a focal point for the next 90 days, we'll say. And then once we get that established, we'll move on to two or three other things.
Exactly. As the team matures, your norms will mature. You're going to get to some point, you're going to say, we're going to strive for data-based decisions.
Yeah.
And people are going to start bringing data to support, which in the beginning, you're trying to start and end on time.
Yeah.
And you're trying to be sure you've got popcorn. Well, you can start there. But as the team matures, the norms will
keep
change,
stacking those.
and you'll get stronger and stronger and stronger.
Yeah,
and stronger.
that's cool. That's fun to think about. It's like a rope. You just braiding that thing together, and it becomes stronger as you go. Okay, so that's a tactical way, is to establish team norms. If you don't have those, you're listening, you don't have those, I would encourage you to spend some time on asking, what do we need to do to make this environment a better environment for the next 90 days? Let's just pick the quarter and go at it, and then evaluate that. Make yourself a note every quarter to come back and do we need some new norms?
And hold each other accountable along the way.
Hold each other accountable. I like posting them.
And so in your 90-day scenario, the question is, have we successfully embraced and inculcated these norms?
Yeah.
And if the answer is yes,
Great.
high five. Where do we go next? Because again, the question was about systematically improving our team. That'll do it.
Okay, so the second side, we touched on the tactic there. I want to touch on the strategy as well, because I want to remind leaders that there is a systematic strategy to building a high-performance team. We've talked about it for the last 3 or 4 weeks here. It starts with talent. You got to get people around the table saying, we want to do something great together, and the better, higher level of talent you can get, the better you put the chances in place that you're going to be very successful. Great people do great stuff. That's been my experience. The skill side, it's one of the sides of the triangle. As part of your strategy, you want to be leveling up your talent all the time.
Individual and team.
Individual and team. You can get all the 4-star and 5-star recruits you want, but if you're not helping them get better, you're going to struggle to reach your potential. And if you really want to reach your potential, there's that third side of the triangle, what we call community. It's building genuine community, we say, and I love the way we define that and talked about it. And if leaders are willing to put strategic time on this over time, it does become cumulative over time, and it just begins to grow. And it not only improves results, which is what we're ultimately after, but I like what you said a few episodes ago. It brings joy. It's just so much more joy. If we're going to spend, was it 100,000 hours?
100,000 hours
at work. And like, why would you want to have the joy or the life sucked out of you for 100,000 of your hours that you have on this earth? I don't think anybody wants that. And yet we don't put time on it. We're going to forfeit a lot there. And then ultimately, that part of that strategy is really the strategy itself is focused on results.
Yeah.
If you really want to improve results, talent, skills, and community focused on results, that's the way to go.
Well, and you mentioned, though, the key to all of it is the leader.
Yeah.
No team drifts to greatness. They've got to be led there.
And that starts with you. You're the leader. And so we want to challenge you to work on your team. Don't think it's just this destination. I get a great team and I'm happy. There's always a new frontier to take. If you're a high performance team, you're always looking for what's next, and you're always doing your very best to build a group of people that want to be together and do something great together. If you do that, you're going to be proud of your team. Remember, the best leaders lead every day.